The Angus Reid Institute has released its first comprehensive polling data of the year for the upcoming federal election. The Conservatives, led by Pierre Poilievre, maintain a double-digit lead with 41% of the vote, compared to Justin Trudeau's Liberals at 24%. When we dig a little deeper, we find that the analysis of voter motivation uncovers an even larger divide. 62% of Conservative voters are motivated by support for the party, its leader, and its policies, while the remainder are motivated by blocking the formation of another term for Trudeau and his Liberals. Conversely, 63% of Liberal supporters are primarily motivated by the desire to block the formation of a Conservative government. This means that with Trudeau's mere 24% support, just 9% of Canadian voters are inspired by the prospect of voting Liberal. However, there is still daylight for the lagging Liberals. More than one-third of current NDP supporters and one-fifth of current Bloc de Québécois voters say they would switch their vote to the Liberals if the Conservatives were on the path to victory. So, in a world where the Liberals pick up these swing voters, the gap between the two parties would narrow to just 7 points. When looking at forecasted election data, we like to remind ourselves to take it with a grain of salt and remember that polls are dynamic, they're constantly changing. That being said, the Conservatives have enjoyed a double-digit lead for several months now. This suggests that not only are the majority of Canadians paying attention, but they also believe things are bad enough to demand change. With that being said, there is still one very dark path that Justin Trudeau may take this country down, which would go a long way in helping him reverse these numbers to secure another minority term. There are currently two identical bills working their way through the government, Bill S-233 and C-223. These bills lay out a path to introduce a universal basic income under the name Guaranteed Livable Basic Income, or GLBI. If the Liberal government, which has a majority control through a coalition, is able to get GLBI passed by the end of this year, we believe Trudeau will have a good chance at re-election, and here's why. With 47% of the country now living paycheck to paycheck, inflation still rising, and interest rates at a 20-plus year high, Canadians simply can't afford to survive. But once a $2,000 monthly stipend is handed out, all of a sudden bills are getting paid and rent is up to date. But here's the dagger. Trudeau will use this as his soapbox for re-election in 2025, and he will have much of the country held hostage by this program. Regardless of his chosen campaign slogan, the subtext will surely be, vote for me or lose your allowance. You see, in true political fashion, Trudeau has made this country unaffordable to the masses, only to solve the problem he created with an even bigger one, GLBI. That being said, we have serious concerns about a universal basic income in Canada. Once this genie is out of the bottle, it will do irreparable damage to our country. While GLBI may seem like a sigh of financial relief, it will actually be a short-lived solution followed by more inflation and high interest rates, where once again, life will be unaffordable. At this point, the only trick in Trudeau's bag will be to raise the monthly allowance as the hamster wheel keeps on spinning. In fact, much of this current financial crisis is driven by a similar model known as CERB. The only difference here is that every time Trudeau has to print money to make up the difference for GLBI, our dollar will lose value and eventually our economy will collapse. So, vote wisely, my friends.